Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the most pressing stories of the day. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're looking at a complex and multifaceted issue that's been making waves globally, the situation surrounding Greenland and the geopolitical tensions it's stirring up. Reports have emerged that the United States is considering taking control of Greenland, citing the need to protect it from potential threats. This move has sparked a flurry of reactions from various countries, with Denmark, which currently oversees Greenland, expressing concern over the proposal. The situation is further complicated by Russia's stance on the matter, with Russian officials suggesting that only they can save Greenland from a U.S. takeover. To understand the intricacies of this issue, let's break it down. The concept of the U.S. taking control of Greenland isn't new. In fact, there have been previous attempts and discussions about such a move. However, the current context, with rising global tensions and shifts in international relations, adds a layer of complexity to the situation. Russia's involvement in this narrative is particularly interesting. By positioning itself as a potential savior for Greenland, Russia may be attempting to leverage the situation to its advantage, possibly aiming to counterbalance U.S. influence in the region or to underscore its own role as a global player. It's also worth noting that Greenland's strategic location and natural resources make it a valuable asset in the eyes of many nations. The island's sovereignty and the well-being of its inhabitants are at the heart of this debate, with various parties advocating for different outcomes based on their own interests and values. As we continue to follow this story, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and the historical context that has led us to this point. The situation in Greenland serves as a microcosm for broader geopolitical dynamics, highlighting issues of sovereignty, resource management, and international cooperation. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments related to Greenland and exploring how different nations navigate these complex waters. For now, it's clear that the fate of Greenland will be a significant point of discussion in international diplomacy for the foreseeable future. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. We're diving into a complex and evolving story unfolding in Iran, where widespread protests have been met with a severe crackdown by the government. The situation is multifaceted, involving internal dissent, external influences, and the potential for significant geopolitical implications. To understand the depth of this crisis, it's essential to consider the historical context and the various factors at play. The Iranian regime has faced numerous challenges over the years, including economic grievances, social unrest, and calls for political reform. These issues have periodically boiled over into mass protests, which the government has consistently sought to suppress. Recently, a viral post by Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah of Iran, added fuel to the flames of protest. Pahlavi's message offered an alternative vision for the country's future, resonating with many Iranians who are disillusioned with the current system. However, it's crucial to note that Pahlavi's influence is limited, and his role as a potential opposition leader is not universally accepted. The international community, particularly the United States, has been watching these developments closely. The U.S. has a history of involvement in Iranian affairs, and President Trump has taken a keen interest in the situation. While some experts argue that targeted actions, such as cyber operations or limited strikes, could have an impact on the regime's stability, others caution against external interference, emphasizing that this is ultimately an Iranian affair. It's also important to consider the potential consequences of U.S. involvement. Some analysts warn that military action could lead to unintended outcomes, including further destabilization and potential losses for all parties involved. On the other hand, a more restrained approach might not yield the desired results, leaving the protesters vulnerable to continued repression. As we navigate this complex landscape, it's essential to prioritize fairness and balance in our analysis. We must acknowledge the legitimate grievances of the Iranian people while also recognizing the regime's efforts to maintain control. The situation is fluid and the outcome remains uncertain. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a look at the latest developments in regional security. Tensions have been rising in recent months, and countries are responding by strengthening their alliances and defense cooperation. Japan and the Philippines are two nations that have taken significant steps in this direction, signing new security pacts aimed at enhancing their military collaboration. The Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement, signed on Thursday, will enable the swift provision of supplies and services between the Japanese and Philippine militaries. This deal is a key component of their growing security partnership, which also includes a reciprocal access agreement that took effect earlier this year. These agreements demonstrate the deepening ties between Tokyo and Manila, both of whom are close allies of Washington. Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi signed the deals during a visit to Manila as part of a broader tour of the Middle East and Asia. This trip highlights Japan's expanding strategic footprint in the region as it seeks to promote its interests and strengthen relationships with key partners. The timing of these agreements is significant, given the current regional security landscape. With tensions rising between major powers, countries are looking to reinforce their alliances and defense capabilities. The Japan-Philippines partnership is just one example of this trend, which is likely to continue in the coming months and years. As we consider the implications of these developments, it's essential to recognize the complexities and nuances at play. Regional security is a multifaceted issue, influenced by a range of factors including geopolitical rivalries, economic interests, and historical relationships. By staying informed and engaged, we can better understand the dynamics shaping our world and make more informed decisions about the issues that matter. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.